крушительными ударами, молодец! Бедро выглядит ситуацию, классический разворот.
Once he got the hooks in, you knew the rear naked choke was coming.
You come to my house? Yeah, how about you, little guy?
Jiu Jitsu has become one of the top martial arts in the world, thanks to the effectiveness of its grappling techniques in combat. However, in the modern world of professional fighting, it's not just about grappling.
Now watching Royce take the mount position. And that's exactly what...
For example, consider the following fight between a blue belt Jiu Jitsu practitioner and a professional boxer. From the start, the Jiu Jitsu fighter struggled to penetrate the boxer's defense. On the other hand, the professional boxer consistently landed jabs, forcing the Jiu Jitsu practitioner to remain on the defensive. The Jiu Jitsu master repeatedly tried to lock in a submission, but the boxer skillfully anticipated and countered these attempts.
Okay, break, next.
Afterward, the boxer faced another jiu-jitsu master, this one holding a white belt. However, this jiu-jitsu fighter was also rendered powerless, much like the previous one. Then, a jiu-jitsu fighter wearing a blue gi and a white belt entered the arena to face the boxer. This jiu-jitsu fighter appeared stronger than the two previous masters. He successfully engaged the boxer in a clinch, forcing the boxer into a more grappling-heavy fight.
Okay, break.
Jiu-jitsu is a martial art originating from Japan, renowned for its emphasis on using an opponent's strength against them. This martial art is deeply rooted in the traditions of the samurai warriors, employed during combat scenarios when weapons were unavailable. This martial art was designed to enable fighters to defend themselves in hand-to-hand combat. Its techniques include throws, joint locks, and grappling, with a particular focus on ground fighting to dominate opponents. Over time, Jiu-Jitsu evolved into various forms, influencing martial arts such as Judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Speaking of BJJ, there was an interesting match between a professional fighter and a BJJ practitioner, both of whom were larger-bodied fighters. The professional fighter, dressed in white shorts, was significantly older than the BJJ fighter, a fact evident during their bout. The BJJ fighter dominated the duel with his powerful strikes. However, in a surprising turn, the opponent only needed 30 seconds to win the match by bringing the BJJ fighter down to the ground. Utilizing his remarkable BJJ skills, a different scenario unfolded in the next fight, where a professional fighter from Japan faced off against a BJJ fighter who, with his intimidating expression, seemed quite formidable. However, his fighting skills did not live up to his physical appearance. From the start of the match, the BJJ fighter was forced toward the edge of the ring, unable to break free from the tight grip of his opponent. Eventually, he was slammed onto the canvas, and the two became engaged in a ground fight. The professional fighter gave him no chance to recover. Overwhelmed by the painful submission hold, the BJJ fighter ultimately had no choice but to surrender. Next up is a fight between a purple belt Jiu Jitsu practitioner and a professional boxer. It didn't take long for the BJJ fighter to find a gap in his opponent's defense, taking him down to the floor. He quickly ended the match with an expertly applied BJJ armlock. Let's move on to the moment when a large-bodied fighter stepped into a jiu-jitsu dojo and challenged the master to a fight.
You come to my house? Yeah, how about you, little guy? Come on. Come on.
The two engaged in a lengthy ground battle. The challenger proved to be no easy opponent. Even though the jiu-jitsu master repeatedly tried to lock him in a submission, the challenger used his incredible strength to break free from the holds each time. Afterward, the bodybuilder removed his shirt, signaling that he intended to fight more seriously this time. However, the jiu-jitsu master also fought back with greater intensity. This time, he managed to dominate his opponent with a tight chokehold. In the end, the muscle-bound challenger was left completely helpless, suffering an embarrassing defeat.
Who's the man? Who's the man? No burpee? No burpee? No burpee?
The impressive submission techniques of jiu-jitsu are not only seen in the dojo, but also on the grand stage of the UFC. One such moment was when Ortega defeated Swanson with a stunning anaconda choke.
Trying to survive the round. He might survive the round. Beltran right on top.
In addition to Ortega, Marcos Almeida, known as Buchecha, is another Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt who is often regarded as one of the greatest grapplers of his generation, if not in the entire history of BJJ.
Hooks in. You knew the rear naked choke was coming. Look at that side choke. It still has the artery. That's a good squeeze coming from
Buchecha has dominated various BJJ tournaments since 2011 and eventually signed a contract with one championship in 2020. However, his debut match didn't come until 2022. Almeida won his first 3 matches by submission, all within the first round, showcasing his incredible grappling skills and making a powerful statement in the world of MMA. Royce Gracie is a name that cannot be overlooked when discussing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This Brazilian fighter is a legend in the world of Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. Born on December 12, 1966 in Rio de Janeiro, Royce Gracie was the son of Helio Gracie, a martial arts legend from Brazil, particularly in Jiu-Jitsu. This heritage meant that Royce was introduced to martial arts from a very young age. Inheriting the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu style, which later became known as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Royce followed the family tradition of facing off against fighters from various martial arts disciplines. One of Royce's recorded fights later inspired a businessman named Art Davie to create the UFC. Royce made his UFC debut in 1993 at UFC 1, where he fought against a boxer named Art Jimerson. When the fight began, Royce quickly grabbed his opponent's leg and brought him down to the canvas.
Art is a little bit worried here.
There it is. There's and he's on the ground. Now we're watching Royce take the mount position. That's acceptable.
Royce held Jimerson down for a significant amount of time until the boxer tapped out, having no idea how to escape the jiu-jitsu submission hold.
Grab the gate. You bet. If I were him, perhaps he might think about taking that thing off right now.
Take a break and take it off. Whoop, he just bowed out. He just tapped out.
Just tapped out.
Another member of the Gracie family, Rorion Gracie, once had a sparring match against a professional fighter. The fight began with Rorion Gracie wrapping his arms around his opponent, lifting him into the air and slamming him onto the ground. The opponent, unfamiliar with ground fighting, found himself at a disadvantage as Rorion dominated the top position, further asserting his control with a couple of punches to the opponent's face.